Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most audacious and heartbreaking cons, the Poyais affair. Imagine a man so charming, so convincing that he could conjure an entire nation out of thin air, sell it off piece by piece, and leave thousands utterly ruined. It sounds like something out of a fantastical novel, doesn't it? But this, my friends, is a true story, and it's a stark reminder of how powerful persuasion can be, and how easily dreams can turn into nightmares. Our tale begins with George MacGregor, a Scottish adventurer born in 1786. Now, MacGregor wasn't just any man. He was a former soldier, a veteran of the Napoleonic Wars, and he'd even served in the Venezuelan War of Independence, where he briefly held a small territory before being ousted. He had a taste for grand schemes and a knack for self-promotion. By 1820, after a less than stellar military career and some rather unfortunate business dealings, MacGregor found himself back in London, facing mounting debts and a yearning for a fresh start. And it was here that his most audacious idea began to take shape. He claimed to be the cacique or prince of a magnificent Central American territory called Poyais. He said this land had been granted to him by the king of the Mosquito Coast, a real but largely uncolonized region. But MacGregor's Poyais, it existed only in his mind and on the pages of an elaborately fabricated prospectus. He painted a picture of a tropical paradise, a land overflowing with natural resources, fertile soil, and untapped potential. He described bustling cities, rich gold mines, and rivers teeming with fish. He spoke of an advanced, yet welcoming native population, and a climate so perfect. He promised health and prosperity to any who would venture there. To make his vision even more believable, MacGregor went all out. He commissioned maps, complete with carefully drawn rivers and cities that didn't exist. He even published a detailed 350-page guidebook titled Sketch of the Mosquito Shore, including the territory of Poyais, supposedly written by Captain Thomas Strangeways. This book wasn't just convincing, it was a masterpiece of fiction, detailing everything from the local fauna to the customs of the indigenous people, all designed to lure unsuspecting investors and settlers. He even invented a national flag and a coat of arms. The allure was irresistible, especially to ordinary British citizens and veterans struggling in post-war Britain. They were looking for opportunity, a chance to escape poverty and build a better life. MacGregor's promise of fertile land, abundant resources, and a new beginning in a tropical Eden was exactly what many longed for. He wasn't just selling land. He was selling a dream, and people were buying it, literally. He set up an office in London, dressed himself in an elaborate military uniform adorned with medals, and charmed everyone he met. He issued government bonds, selling them at a discount, promising lucrative returns. He even sold land grants, complete with official-looking seals and impressive titles. People invested their life savings, retired officers sank their pensions, and families sold their homes, all convinced they were investing in the future of a prosperous new nation. The total amount raised by MacGregor is estimated to be around £200,000, which in today's money would be tens of millions of dollars. Imagine that scale of deception. But the con didn't stop there. MacGregor began recruiting settlers. He promised them free passage, fertile land, and a ready-made society. He assured them of well-built homes, established infrastructure, and a welcoming environment. In 1822, the first ships set sail from Britain, packed with eager emigrants, doctors, lawyers, farmers, artisans, all believing they were heading to a land of opportunity. They were filled with hope, dreaming of the prosperity and freedom that awaited them in Poyais. The journey itself was grueling, but the spirit remained high, fueled by MacGregor's grand promises. However, as the ships neared their destination, a chilling reality began to set in. The port of Black River MacGregor had described was nothing more than a swampy, disease-ridden coastline. There were no bustling cities, no fertile fields, no established infrastructure. There was no Poyais. When the first settlers disembarked, they were met with an impenetrable jungle, swarming with mosquitoes, and a crushing, humid heat. Instead of the grand buildings and welcoming communities MacGregor had described, they found only a few ramshackle huts and the harsh, unforgiving reality of an untouched wilderness. The gold mines were imaginary, the fertile land was a myth, and the promised infrastructure was utterly absent. Panic and despair quickly set in. The settlers, unprepared for such conditions, began to succumb to tropical diseases like yellow fever and malaria. Food and fresh water were scarce. They had no tools for survival in this environment, having been promised a developed nation, not a frontier. Many died within weeks, their dreams turning into a horrifying struggle for survival. The true horror of the Poyais affair began to unfold as more ships arrived, bringing more hopeful but ultimately doomed settlers. The survivors of the first voyage tried to warn the newcomers, but for many, it was already too late. They were stranded, hundreds of miles from civilization, with no way back and no means of support. The death toll mounted rapidly. Word eventually reached British colonial authorities in Belize, a real British settlement nearby. Rescuers were dispatched, arriving to find a scene of utter devastation. Out of an estimated 250 settlers who embarked for port, only about 50 managed to survive and were eventually rescued and brought to Belize. The vast majority perished from disease, starvation, or despair. It was a humanitarian catastrophe on an unimaginable scale, directly caused by one man's elaborate deception. Back in Britain, news of the disaster eventually broke, causing outrage and scandal. George MacGregor, however, was a master of evasion. He managed to flee to France, where he incredibly tried to pull off the same scam again, though with less success this time, thanks to mounting skepticism and increased scrutiny. He was briefly imprisoned in France, but eventually released. MacGregor eventually returned to Scotland in the 1830s, and believe it or not, he largely escaped serious punishment for the Poyais affair. He continued to live a relatively comfortable life, dying peacefully in Venezuela in 1845. His ability to evade justice for such a colossal fraud is almost as shocking as the fraud itself. The victims, on the other hand, suffered terribly, and their families bore the financial and emotional scars for generations. The Poyais affair stands as a chilling testament to the dangers of unchecked ambition and the power of a compelling narrative, however false. It highlights the importance of due diligence, critical thinking, and healthy skepticism, especially when promises seem too good to be true. It's a tragic story, but one that offers crucial lessons about distinguishing between genuine opportunity and elaborate deception. So, what can we learn from this incredible historical event? Firstly, always question the source. MacGregor presented himself as an authority, but his claims lacked independent verification. Secondly, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The promise of instant riches and an easy life in a faraway paradise should always raise red flags. And finally, be wary of anyone who pressures you to make quick decisions without allowing for thorough research. The Poyais affair is a powerful reminder that while dreams can inspire us, they can also be exploited. It urges us to protect ourselves and others from similar schemes by being informed, vigilant, and supportive of those around us. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of history's most fascinating and tragic cons. If you found this story as intriguing as I did, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's most incredible tales. Your support truly helps this channel grow, and I love bringing these stories to you. See you in the next one.